think writers tend to talk a lot about other writers they're influenced by and other playwrights they're influenced by maybe, and don't necessarily talk much about the other things that might influence them. For example, I think if you visit a church or cathedral, a really great piece of architecture, you can learn a lot about structure from that. You can, sort of walking around the place, seeing how the space has been used to tell a story, different parts of the space have been used to tell a different part of that story, then you can learn a lot about structuring from that, structuring your pieces. You can learn a lot from music, opera, you can learn a lot from painting, and in a way, if you can try to get to a stage whereby what you're doing is a mixture of colours and notes and energies and all that sort of thing, you can create something very fascinating to put before the audience. And that might stay with them and yeah, give them a glimpse of something. What I like to see when I go to the theatre is something I can't see anywhere else. So I don't want to see what I could see on the telly. I don't want to see something that's trying to be a film. I usually don't like multimedia theatre. I usually like something that's very, very puritanical, really, in that way. And I think if you're going to see a play, then you should. I enjoy seeing something which is about space, which is about language, which is about the actors interacting dramatically with each other's bodies and that sort of thing. So that's what I like to see. I like to see a certain poetry. I like to see some use of a sort of stage poetry, which is about the interaction between, you know, bodies in space and exits and entrances, and I like to see a sort of poetry in the overall design of the thing. What I'm not so struck on seeing is something that is trying to recreate or retell the stories that are in the papers now. Because if I want to read something which is about some social issue, and I'm not saying social issues aren't important, of course they are very important, but if I want to engage with that as a social issue, I can pick up a newspaper, I can read a book about it, you know, I can watch a documentary film about it maybe. I don't need to go to the theatre to see it. I don't, particularly things which are sort of edited transcripts of trials and that sort of thing. I think, well, this isn't very interesting really, because that thing that you're getting there, you could get outside the theatre. So if you go into a theatre, I think you should get something that you can't get anywhere else. Something that is, I suppose, theatrical, whatever that means, but that it is not journalism. You know, what I'm not interested in seeing is any form of journalism, or really any form of special pleading in the theatre. That really turns me off. If I think the writer is trying to sell me something, especially something he thinks I already agree with, then I feel a real dirtiness. I think there's a real dishonest thing that's gone on, a real horrible sort of club has happened, you know, whereby everyone goes to see something that they've all signed up for anyway. They'd all signed a petition to stop this thing, and now they're all going to see a play which is telling them to stop this thing, and so they don't stop the thing, nothing stops it, and there's no chance of it stopping, but they all feel as though they've done something. And I find that it's, you know, it's like the sort of, you know, the whole Brechtian ideal of teaching the audience something is, it really quite nauseates me.
Life is sad, life is a bust. All you can do is do what you must. You do what you must do, and you do it well.
So I recently finished, over the last year or so, I finished a full-length play which is really about the Reformation. It's about an artist called Lucas Cranach, who was a real artist, about whose life very little is known, which really suited me. So then I didn't have to, you know, I can make up as much as I want really around the few facts that we've got. But really it's about the Reformation, which I think is a continuing process, where there's this continuing change in society, which started around the time of the Reformation with Luther, which is still ongoing, and it's an attempt to change how people think about what their life is. And it's been a very successful attempt, and I make no judgments about whether it's right or wrong. But I think it's an ongoing attempt. I think the Reformation is still happening. So in order for me to understand the Reformation and to really sort of get my hands in it, I decided to write a play about it. So and that brought up a lot of really interesting stuff, really, feelings and ideas and that. And so that's a sort of major project. It's quite a big play, and I did a draft of it which was longlisted for the Bruntwood Prize, and then I've redrafted it since then, and my agents got it at the moment. And another, I wrote 3 short plays, which three actors came to me and they said, we want... They had a play which I'd written in the 1990s, which was about 20 minutes long. And they said, we really like this play, but it's very short. We want to do an evening. You know, would you write something to go with it? And so I took a look at the play again, and their suggestion was that I write something which was going to involve the story of this other play. But actually I'd written everything I wanted to write about those characters. So I said, well, let's look at what those plays are about. You know, this play is about, this short play is about, and then I wrote another couple of short plays which are taking the interests of that play and extending them. So they're the 3 short plays, one of which is a bit longer, one of which lasts about 50 minutes. The other 2 last about 20 minutes. One of them is about St Alban. The longer play is about St Alban and his martyrdom, because he's Britain's proto-martyr, the first person who died for professing Christianity in this country. And the other one I wrote in the 90s is set in hell, and the other one that I've written is set actually over 3 time periods, and the same story happens 3 times. And so really the play is about how you stop things happening 3 times and whether you can.